Hello, and welcome to episode 88 of the Book Wars Pod. I'm Chris. I'm joined by Kristen and Miranda. And after about an hour of struggling with my building's chronically terrible internet and shitty wiring, we are ready to talk about Battlefront Twilight Company by Alexander Freed, and specifically chapters 21 through 29. How's everyone doing tonight?
Yeah.
Hi.
Good. I think we're doing well.
I'm doing okay.
I'm doing well. I have no complaints at this time.
That's good.
How are you,
I'm
Dad?
Glad to hear it. I'm okay.
Situation normal.
Situation normal. I'm so excited to be moving because this garbage ass apartment. We actually really like our apartment, and we've been here for a really long time. But the internet has always been bad, and it's basically they just like wired it like idiots when they wired the internet, like when they wired the building for internet back when they like built it, and so or back when they like installed internet in the fucking 90s or whatever. And so like we pay for high-speed internet, and our internet speed is still absolute garbage, and we've had Comcast down multiple times, and it does nothing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Boo.
Yeah, like we've literally had Comcast people out here, and they're just like, yeah, your building is like wired dumber than anything I've ever seen, and it like splits up the cable that should be for your apartment between like 5 different apartments.
How reassuring.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That
So
seems
that's
fine.
great. Yeah.
I'm happy to be potting though, and you're moving and things
Yeah.
and stuff.
Hopefully by the time oh wait, no, this comes out like tomorrow. Okay, never mind. I was going to say hopefully by the time people hear this, I'll have an apartment, but that's probably not going to be the case. Hopefully by the time people hear next week's pod, we'll have an apartment.
Awesome.
Wait, an apartment where?
In Boulder, where they're moving.
But you guys aren't moving yet, right? I'm supposed to come visit you.
No, we're moving in at the end of June.
I see. Okay, so
But
you
we
just
need to,
want
like,
have
have a
an
place
apartment
lined up.
because you're gonna need to live somewhere when you get to Boulder. 'Cause
Yes.
that's how it works.
Yes. Nothing gets past you, Miranda.
I'm very smart.
These are
She
these
got
are the
all
critical
A's
insights
in elementary school.
that we expect from you, to be frank.
Thank you.
Are you drinking, Chris?
I am. Where would I be if I weren't? I am drinking a delicious and not full enough anymore glass of Teeling single malt
Ooh.
from Dublin, Ireland. Lovely Irish whiskey. Very smooth, as Irish whiskey tends to be with that third distilling, but also very rich. It's a very rich Irish whiskey.
We love
Kinda
whiskey in
chocolatey
this
almost.
house. Ooh. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm sure it's very tasty. We are
It is
drinking
quite good.
We're drinking a beer almost that Kristen's taking pictures of. I don't know anything about it. When she's done, I'm going to make her talk about it.
Is it the Han Solo beer? Or the whatever the one
Yeah,
we
it's
posted on
the Star
Instagram?
Wars beer that you already Instagrammed, Chris. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
We haven't had this yet. This is a new one. Miranda, talk to Chris about Imperial Bottle Shop, because we didn't realize it was Imperial Bottle Shop.
Yeah, so I have a working theory. So there's this bottle shop and tap room not far from our house that is obviously called Imperial. And so I was there on, thank you, Monday, getting a drink with a friend, and I lifted my pint glass up.
Sorry, I took it back from you. I forgot I have to read the
Oh,
can.
right. I lifted my pint glass up, and you know how sometimes, like, on the bottom of a glass, you'll see something, and it says something like IKEA, or whatever happens if you don't buy IKEA glasses.
Maybe
Sure,
Emperor
yep.
live forever, etc.
It had on the bottom of the pint glass the, like, Imperial insignia, basically. Like
Circle Boy.
the circle boy with the little spokes. And that I haven't really been able to find like a whole lot of other Star Wars things about this place, except for the fact that we got this Star Wars beer there. But I thought that was really cool.
They also have some art up from a wonderful trans man who does amazing art in Portland, Oregon, whose name I'm forgetting, but I'll look up. Ace Troy is his name. And apparently it's a stormtrooper doing some sort of gesture that apparently is related to some, I don't know. I'll have to ask Quinn what the fuck it actually is. But anyway, it's a stormtrooper.
It's a football thing.
Oh, is it a football
some
thing?
Seahawk grabbing his
Oh yes, the Seahawk grabbing his crotch.
crotch.
But it's a stormtrooper. Anyway, there are lots of things. We're drinking a beer from Level Beer Company, which we've had before on the pod. And it's India Pale Ale, and on it there's lots of Star Wars related-ish stuff. It says, "A hop named Galaxy from a country far, far away." And then it says, if you didn't see our Instagram, it says, "She's fast enough for you, old man," which I believe is what the beer is actually called.
That's pretty
and it
great.
says, what are the ingredients? Only hops, water, grain, yeast, and no questions asked. Let's just say we'd like to avoid any TTB entanglements. So, very fun.
I love it.
And now we're going to drink some. Hold on.
We love a Mos Eisley Cantina in this house.
It's pretty good.
It tastes like beer.
Big if true. Yeah, it's like well-rounded, but it's very. You wouldn't like this one, Chris. It's very traditional IPA, kind of.
Fair. Well, you know
But
what? I
a
respect
little
its right
juicy.
to exist. Respect its right to exist, and everything that's happening at that brewery seems lovely. So
Yes. Usually our Star Wars themed beer coming from Gigantic. So this is I believe this is our first Star Wars themed beer on the pod that has not come from Gigantic, which is fun.
love it. Expanding the universe.
Diversifying our Star Wars beer.
Portfolio. Expanding the universe is funny, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad someone got it. Also, you want to hear something else funny? Restarting
Yes.
Kate's computer made the headphones do that thing again where the computer can't actually tell that they're connected, so I can't turn volume up or down. But I can hear you.
Everything about your apartment and your pod setup is very drunk.
It's I don't know. I don't understand what's happening. Anyway,
It's okay.
it is
Should
okay.
we Star Wars?
Let's do a Star Wars.
No housekeeping this time, right? Marvel didn't do anything that we need to drag them for, or other people didn't do anything we need to drag them for this week.
I mean, I'm sure they all did, but I've been ignoring it.
Okay.
There was that the news about the new Star Wars movies that are gonna come out in a couple years.
Correct, but that is
From
Oh,
not.
yeah, I mean, we
fuckers.
should always be dragging Benioff and Weiss, but they're doing a good enough job of that themselves with
That's
season
true.
8. So
Yeah.
I just love that my hot take of Game of Thrones is trash is no longer a hot take.
I know.
I've been waiting for this day for 8 seasons.
Oh, I'll somewhat disagree with you, but that is for a different podcast that is not about Star Wars.
Throne Wars pod.
Yes.
Awesome. Anyway, we're not a news podcast, and that's great. So we just use our housekeeping to drag people who are being racist usually. So, if this is your first time listening, I'm so sorry. Also, why didn't you start from the beginning of the book?
Yeah,
Okay.
weird place to jump in. Honestly, that's on you.
The first note on the outline that I did not add anything to, nor did I read, because I'm really having a great day today, says rescuing people who don't want to be saved.
Yeah, so we got on a couple of the planets on Twilight Company's big sabotage run leading up to Kuat. We got a couple different planets where they're going in as like the conquering liberators, and people are kind of just like, but why? Like, why are you go home? We don't want you here.
Yeah, they all seem to be very like, we don't want you here. We don't need you here. Please go somewhere where people actually want you, because like I have a job here and that's fine.
Yep. some privileged motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Which-
I think this is just interesting because it's like we get a lot of both sidesism here that we haven't necessarily been used to. Like so far in all of Star Wars, we've noticed a lot of like, well, the Empire's here. We don't want them here because they're stealing all of our ore and fucking everything up. And now we're also getting like, yeah, rebels, we don't really want you here either. Please cordially yeet off.
Self-yeet, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think for like the purposes of kind of the greater, civil war in the galaxy, like Kristen said, this is the first time we really see anybody say no to the rebellion on a ground level. And we've discussed in the last couple episodes while we've been reading this book that it's really the first time that we see something that is more on the ground, something more in the day-to-day fights for the rebels instead of like the big grand strategy, because that's all like very idealistic and like, oh well, it's gonna, we're gonna lose some lives and sacrifices need to be made. But I think by having this book be from the viewpoint of actual soldiers and like interacting with the people, aliens, beings on all of like these planets, we can kind of see how, like, I think personally the Empire's depiction of the Rebel Alliance, their like propaganda that they put out of them as like terrorists basically, can really take hold, because the rebels show up to the planet that's basically a warehouse. I'm blanking on the name.
I want to say it was Mardona 3.
Yes, that sounds correct.
Yes, I think that's correct. It's the third planet. It is.
And it sounds like Maradona, which is
Yes.
what I kept reading it as. But everybody there is
The
basically
planet of Diego Maradona.
exactly. Who says no?
Diego
But
Maradona
everybody-
sure doesn't.
Yeah. Everybody there is like, we don't want you, and they're like, well, tough shit. We're gonna blow up all of like your little train lines and make life really shitty for you because we have ulterior motives here, and you're like, we'll try to evacuate you, but if you stay, you're just in our way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because like on the one hand it's like frustrating because like I was like joking about privilege before, but also not really, because like these are people who are getting paid for their jobs. Like they're here because they want to be here and they want to just like continue their lives, whereas other people are being brutally murdered or enslaved. But also like it is like part of it's almost seems fair. Like it's such a big galaxy, it like they don't know what's going on in all parts of it, and they're focused on feeding themselves. And like there's a certain amount of that like you kind of understand how they're feeling, where it's like I'm not like, do I care about the Empire? No. Do I appreciate being bombed? Also no. I'm going to side with the people who aren't currently bombing me.
Yeah, they have that in common with Namir for his whole life.
Yeah.
We got some more background on him in this section.
Mm-hmm.
Is that on the outline? I'm sorry.
It is not.
No, it's not.
Cool.
But
We
can
got
talk
some.
about it.
We got some more background on Namir, and his lady friend. That isn't. I don't know whether or not it's his lady friend. What's her name? Pira.
Pira?
Pira. Yeah. Yeah. So like the person he cared about, and we hear about him joining up with the Imperials, and then them bombing everything to shit, and then him accidentally being recruited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've all been there.
It's a tale as old as time is what it is.
You've a lot of us have gone and been at the front of the line that we did not, nor did we try to be at the front of. He's like, well, now I'm at the front of the queue. I wonder what this is a line for. Maybe you should have thought about that.
You're
Amir.
you seem a lot more. You and Namir seem a lot more trusting than I am. I'm very skeptical of lines and always ask people what they are.
What is this for?
I don't know.
What
I
are
just
we
like
in line
following
for?
rules. So, when you like following rules, getting in lines is usually a good option because it's probably there for a reason.
See,
With-
but
Some exceptions.
see, like in theory that works, but where that falls apart is that people are stupid.
That is correct.
It's the first time I'm hearing that, Chris.
Yeah,
Big
that's
if true. Big if true.
It's a really, really grand revelation you had there.
Yeah. I mean, this is why people listen.
To hear that people are stupid for the first time.
Yep.
I'm gonna
Opening
have
minds
some.
one pot at a time.
I'm gonna have some other IPA. I shouldn't really be drinking right now, so I only had a little bit of our Star Wars beer, and I'm gonna have this IPA from Barrel House Brewing Co., which is in Paso Robles, California. And I just thought everyone should know that before I opened it.
Thank you for sharing.
Shout out to Paso Robles.
She thick, 7.2%.
But anyway, back to the book. Yeah, it's just like, between Mardona and Sullust, like Sullust in particular, where they're just like actively like, fucking rebellion, don't come here. Somebody talk to fucking Nien Nunb and get him the fuck out of like everything so that the Empire doesn't crack down. Like they're not even like really apathetic. They're like straight up anti-rebellion at this point.
Mm-hmm. Does not work out well for them.
No.
The rebellion does not give a fuck what you think.
And funnily enough, neither does the Empire.
Crazy.
Empire does not care about your loyalty either.
Can we talk about how fucking crazy it is that they don't know where any of the upper command is or what they're doing or
I know, right?
that Lucas fucked off to Dagobah or anything like that?
I know. It gives a whole new perspective to like the nice jaunty entire middle section of Empire Strikes Back where like, they're in the asteroid and like it's tense, but it's not that tense because, they're getting interrupted by 3PO while they're making out. And then Luke is just floating things and getting hit on the head with a stick.
And they're in a space penis, etc.
Classic
Yeah.
space penis.
I feel like when I watch The Empire Strikes Back, I always imagine that, like, the rest of the rebellion is doing something productive. Like, that the leadership is, being smart about shit. But no, I think we learned that is most certainly not the case.
They
be hiding.
They are doing not death. But yeah,
Or so we are told.
it's like very like intimidating and kind of shocking because like with Hoth too, like at least in Empire Strikes Back, like it's not a victory because the base is destroyed, but everybody you care about gets out. Like the only named character who really dies is Dak. As Kate just
R.I.P.
laughs in the
Dak.
background because it's like a running joke how Dak is just entirely useless.
Dak sucks.
Oh, guys, Kate's back.
Hi, Mom.
But like this really shows the scope of this was like a catastrophic, almost like rebellion ending failure and defeat.
They absolutely should not have been able to get off of Hoth.
Admiral
Right.
Ozzel came out of hyperspace too close to the planet and fucked it up. That's why he died.
That's why he got yeet choked.
Yeet choked or force yeeted?
I don't know.
Well, he wasn't really force yeeted. 'Cause it's
Was he
more of
really
a-
yeet choked though?
I don't know. I'm not sure why we're discussing this. Don't ever
Taking a
listen to the words that
philosophical
come
turn
out of my mouth.
Anyway, but yeah, it's just interesting to see this view of the rebellion that not everybody actually likes them because some people are like managing to get by, even though they're like kind of objectively wrong. Well, maybe not. Maybe they're not objectively wrong because we know from Bloodline that things under the Republic are also #not great. So like maybe things, we haven't seen Sullust in the New Republic. Maybe Sullust was good under the Empire because they were a resource-rich planet and for the most part of the Empire relatively like, I don't know, peaceful, I guess. So it's just kind of interesting to think about all the different perspectives and
Yeah.
how the rebellion was not entirely loved.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to realize that, everybody has their own priorities. So obviously, the people who are on these planets, like we've said, they want to be able to eat and feed their families and, maybe sleep with something over their head, some kind of roof or structure.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously, the Empire is very bad and morally reprehensible. But, if they're providing some kind of purpose and the folks who are on these planets, like, are okay with that, it's really disruptive when the rebels come in and they're like, we're going to fucking yeet some freedom onto you. Hope
Yeah.
you like it. And then they don't at all. And it becomes a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like war is complicated, and it might be better explained in a multimedia storytelling environment where things can be fleshed out and books, etc., and not just 3 movies
Sounds fake.
and in space.
It does indeed. But yeah, I also love, like, because we got pictures of people who didn't really care about the rebellion in Aftermath, but we never really got people who actively disliked the rebellion. And so I think it is kind of a new view, and I wonder if we'll get more of it in Alphabet Squadron when that comes out next month.
Ooh!
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
And, again, I think, like, from the perspective of the people, aliens, beings, etc., who are, having their lives directly impacted by the rebellion, like, on Maradona, whatever the fuck it's called, on these planets, to them, functionally, the rebellion is doing the same fucking thing the Empire is. Because they're still coming in and fucking shit up. And, maybe it's certainly not with the same evil intent. But if they come down and kind of destroy your world, intentionally or not, like, you're gonna not view them as being a positive force in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's not how the Force works. Yes, and I will agree with that, and I will also add that, that said, when the Empire comes to your world and decides that they have it now, you don't get to say no when they recruit you. Whereas the rebellion, as we know, is all quote unquote what's the word I'm looking for? Volunteer army. Quote, 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 quote around all those quotes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously when you're on the other end of an explosion, it doesn't really matter, but I think it's important to also, like, remember that wrinkle of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that brings us to our sweet, sweet stormtrooper, who is kind of lovely, and I wish I didn't care about so much.
Oh, Thara. She's just such a pure little fascist.
She's the purest, fascistest baby angel. In the first section of this book that we read, right, we see her bringing all the supplies to her grandpa?
Her uncle.
Her uncle, yeah.
Whatever, in his cantina, and, like, all the people and whatnot, to help all the people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who that was. But then we find out she's a stormtrooper, and then there was an incident, and she has PTSD from it. Yay, more PTSD in Star Wars.
Everyone has trauma. But yeah, no, and it's just, like, again, it's such an interesting view because, like, we've seen, your Iden Versios and your Sienna Rees and the people who are, like, super into the Empire because rules are important and order is necessary, and they're, like, actively fighting, but they know that, like, the Empire is important. But, like, Thara, I feel like, is just in, like, the episode of Family Guy where they're, like, traveling through universes and they go into the Disney universe and they sing a song about pie?
Sure don't.
Absolutely not.
Okay, great. This is a story in reference entirely for me then, and I'm going to tell it anyway.
And
Basically,
that's why we hate you for being on the podcast.
yep, exactly. But like, it's like this like amazing world, and then like Stewie and Brian are like, "Oh, this world seems amazing. What's wrong with this one?" And then like the neighbor, the old neighbor who I don't watch Family Guy, so I don't know names, but the old neighbor comes out, and then everybody's like Jew and starts stoning him to death because Disney.
Oh God. Okay, you very clearly do watch Family Guy since you just recounted an entire subplot
No,
of
honestly, I've just
something,
seen
but-
this scene so many times because I find it fucking hysterical.
Okay, that's fair.
But
I've done that with the.
I feel like I feel like that is the world that Thara lives in. Like she lives in the universe where it's a wonderful day for pie, and then what could possibly be wrong with this one? Oh right, it's like the concentration camps in the corner, but nobody looks at those. It's fine.
Don't look there.
Just keep your eyes on the pie.
Oh my god.
But it just shows like it's like so easy to be a soldier in peacetime for her.
Oh yeah. And I mean, especially because I think I will give a lot of credit to the Empire. They're very good at what they do. Like for a long time, it's a very well-oiled machine. And so they can put out these, messages that the Empire is for order and peace in the galaxy. Now, if you ignore the fact that, how they get the order and peace in the galaxy is
Spoiler: it's not good.
super not good, it's easy to be like, yeah, they're giving us jobs. They're here to protect us from these rebels that are attacking our planets. Whatever. But then, once I think folks, like Thara, start to see what it's really like to fight a war, they're like, is this worth it?
War sucks
Spoiler alert.
on both sides.
Yep. And as it gets worse, the war crimes start to come out. And again, on both sides, with the obviously pretty indiscriminate capture and indefinite detention of all the different like old Celestins who Thara used to see in her uncle's bar, including her uncle. And like that, she's like, this seems weird, but he's law abiding, so it'll be fine, and he'll get to go home.
Spoiler: he probably doesn't get to go home, and also we probably don't get to know the answer. Maybe we do. Chris has read this book. Chris, do we get to know the answer?
I do not remember.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's also weird because, like, when she's kind of out on patrol, she's going about with the idea that, like, she's doing this to protect the city. She's doing it to protect Sullust from danger, from evil being the rebels or whatever gangs. I don't care.
Disorder.
Yes, disorder. But then it's like, they get the message that for them to do this, they can just like start arresting people who look suspicious. And it's kind of like, okay, that makes sense. We're here to help.
Yeah, it's so weird.
When
that
has
would never
that ever
happen
gone
in real life.
wrong?
Yeah.
Never. It's always a good idea all the time.
Always a good
Nothing bad has
idea
ever-
to arrest
Nothing
people for
bad
looking
is-
suspicious.
Nothing bad has ever happened.
Just full stop. Like, you're not even going to qualify that. Nothing bad has ever happened.
Oh yeah.
Boy, boy. Boy, boy, boy. That was a sad
like
rap
I was going to say,
horn.
like, combination of an air horn and a sad trombone.
Yeah, that's right. Good one. Me.
Cell 5.
While we're talking about fascism, should we talk about that crazy boy who's on that Star Destroyer, who's running that Star Destroyer for some reason?
Yeah,
Who is
motherfucker's like
scared
18,
shitless?
like running a Star Destroyer, and it's so...
Doesn't he have like a rich daddy or something?
Yeah, it's like so
Isn't that how this
visibly a
usually
bad
works?
idea. Yeah, he's got a rich daddy, and he like was born young in the Empire, and so like it's like fully indoctrinated into how amazing it is.
Sorry, can you repeat what you just said? I thought Kristen was trying to cheers me, and then she gave me her beer.
Oh, classic awkward moment situation. We were just talking about good old baby prelate Verge. Is that Kate? Is that how you say that word?
I've heard various things.
Okay, is that an interpretation of how one says that word?
Sure.
Okay,
I'm
great.
sure that's in the dictionary.
Prelate Verge it is. Yeah,
I think it might
he's
be prelate.
prelate. Are we going prelate?
Yeah. I mean, you can say it however the fuck you want. I'm on this podcast, so
I mean, I'm fine with prelate. It's Prelate Verge is such a good Star Wars name and title. Like that's just really good.
Mhm.
Alexander Freed is very good at Star Wars names.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's cuckoo bananas and also peeing himself a little bit because he done fucked up a lot repeatedly.
Yeah, well, he's not particularly competent. The one thing he really has going for him is that he's like real big zealot. He's
Yeah.
very into the Emperor and that cult of personality.
Prelate.
Shut the fuck up.
prelate rhymes with zealot.
Sure does. Sure does, Kristen.
But I think that's kind of like how he got there. You know, Rich Daddy, super into the idea of the Empire more than being good at serving the Empire. Like he's serving it by his passion. And something that I think has been really interesting just to like read about over the course of the book, but especially this section, is that he kind of gets paired up with, you know, the old school Empire person in Tabor last name, and
Yeah, I don't know how we're pronouncing that. Citarin?
Satyron, I don't know.
Person, it's fine.
I'm just gonna call him Mount Tabor.
Which is a neighborhood in Portland.
Big Tabes. Tabor was the name of my first grade teacher. Fun fact. Fun Chris fact for all our
Oh,
listeners.
Like
Last name. Last name was
last
Tabor.
name.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought it was literally Tabor Satyron.
First grade teacher, Tabor Sadaron. No, Miss Tabor. She was nice.
Prelate.
Kate is saying Citaron. She wants everybody to know.
Satyron.
Chris can't pronounce shit.
I'm also listening to the audiobook, so I really need to just like
Oh my god, Kristen, you should know the objective answers to these
yeah,
things.
but like I can't. When I see them written on the outline, I like can't put them together with what they are.
Oh my god.
You know, I have a lot of problems. There's a reason I'm in a bad mood. It's because I'm changing meds because my brain doesn't work. So that's part of it.
I
Pwah,
mean-
pwah, pwah.
I just wrote, what's that guy's name? And then Chris was in the document at the same time and wrote out his name for me. Thanks for that.
I mean, I also wrote the Warehouse Planet, whatever it's called, because I couldn't remember it. So.
Okay, can we just all be transparent here and say there are a lot of names of things in Star Wars?
There's
And a lot of things have a lot of
specifically,
names.
There's a lot of names of things in this book. This book has a lot of names in a lot of places.
Yes.
But back to the point that I was maybe making before, who's to say. It's really interesting to like see how Prelate Verge interacts with Tabor, because Tabor is this old school guy. Like he's literally old. It seems like he's been kind of just teaching at one of the academies for a few years, but he seems to have been very instrumental in like building up the Empire, and he is very not cool with like all the shit that Verge has been doing, because Verge is a maniac. He's just like, oh, you made a minor mistake, what if I beat you with this, what are the things called?
Switch?
The
That's the human word for them. The buzzy
The buzz.
the Chris, what's the buzzy stick called?
Yeah, I got nothing.
he like has
You
them,
know what we're talking about?
the ones that they almost kill Finn and Rose with in The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
I assume
no,
it's,
I
like,
know
the
what you're talking about. I just
same-ish.
don't know what it's called.
The
Oh,
Buzz
okay.
sticks.
The Buzz sticks.
Yep, classic
So,
Buzz
like,
sticks.
Verge, you know, has these people just like tortured. They have him hit with the buzz sticks. Tabor's like, what the hell is this? This is not the Empire that I know. But then, you see them start to hang out a little more. And to his credit, Verge seems like a pretty charismatic guy. And, like, probably has a lot to do with how insane and passionate he is about the Empire and all of that. But in this section, I forget the exact wording, but Tabor's just like, oh, this is actually, I kind of enjoy hanging out with him. Teaching at the academy, I just met people who wanted to only advance their career. But because Verge is such a zealot, because he's so invested in the Empire, he's looking to, like, make it better. So he kind of, in a way, also idolizes Tabor's life's work. And he wants to build on what Tabor has done and, like, building up this empire and take it to new levels. Terrible levels, obviously. And I feel like Tabor probably doesn't appreciate the levels that Verge wants to take it to. But, if somebody is, like, saying nice things about you and they're nice to you, it's easy to kind of fall into that trap of, oh, this kind of a cool dude. Like, I like talking to him.
Yeah.
And then there's just the really chill thing that he says when it feels like it's a trap, and he goes, "What does the Emperor demand of each of us, Captain?" And he goes, "Our loyalty and obedience." And he responds, literally, total loyalty and total obedience. I just
Not
looked that up.
enough.
My memory is not good. Yeah. And he goes, "Well, I consider myself the first child of the Empire, so I'm kind of a big deal."
Yeah, it's funny because, like, there's, like, kind of two very clear views and, like, kind of a relationship that at least I imagine between these two that we, like, have seen on screen. And, like, first of all, with Verge, there is exactly one character that we've seen on screen that I picture when I think of Verge, and that
Is it Hux?
it sure is good old
Hugs?
General Hugs.
Hugs?
Yeah, they're like the same person, and it's hysterical because they're, like, useless children who aren't actually that good at their jobs. And then, like, Cytaran sounds like he's Peevy from Last Jedi, who was, like, his, like, second in command, who was on the bridge and, like, kind of rolling his eyes at him in the background and was, like, the Imperial loyalist and all this stuff. And, like, it's just funny because, like, Tabor is so clearly, I'm just gonna call him Tabor because I don't know how to pronounce his last name. We're on first name basis now. He's so clearly, like, 6 months from retirement, like, probably creeping on his students, like that guy. He's got tenure. He's waiting it out. He's ready to cash those checks.
He is having fancy coffee and eating melee runs all day, every day.
So
He
many
is-
melee runs.
He has 2 bad days in a row from retirement. Until he's stuck on a spaceship, and you can't really leave that.
Yeah. And then he gets stuck with this kid, and, like, yeah, he is like inspired by the fact that he, like, actually cares about his job, which, like, fair. It's like, there's a good buddy movie, sinking in there somewhere. But also, like, it's, like, very clear that they're both, like, pooping themselves because Verge is so terrified of fucking up, and Tabor is, like, so terrified that Verge is gonna, like, make him the fall guy. And meanwhile, while these two idiots are running the search for Chalice, like, there are real people in the Empire who are not crazy, but better at their jobs, who are, like, being passed over for these, like, sycophantic idiots. Like, you see this dichotomy between the zealots who are not competent, but who believe in the Empire and believe in total loyalty and total obedience and are willing to buy into the cult of personality. And, you think of Verge, you think of people like Yupe Tashu from Aftermath, who was, like, the crazy spiritual advisor of Palpatine. I'm thinking a little bit of Gar Saxon from Rebels, who is like the governor of Mandalore or Emperor's Hand. Maybe his brother was governor of Mandalore. He's a Mandalorian. He like controls the Mandalorians for the most part, and he is like also not particularly smart. Like, I feel like you could almost throw Rax in here as well. Like, he started out young and like was kind of a boy wonder, and was said to believe in the Empire, and was not actually as focused on different reasons, but was not actually as focused on winning.
I mostly agree with that. I think that Rax is like ideologically a very good fit there, but he's slightly more competent.
That's true. His is more of a chosen incompetence than a
and
necessary one.
I mean, I think we see kind of the flip side of that in this book. Like, we get a little bit of both. Obviously, we have Verge, very into the Emperor, very bad at his job.
Porque no los bofa.
And then we see Chalice, who is very good at her job.
Mm-hmm.
She, clearly doesn't really care that much about the Empire as, oh gosh.
She cares more about competence than she does probably about the Emperor.
Exactly.
Okay, hold on. Let's see how you say this name.
Captain Tabor Cyteron.
Cyteron.
Wow, Tabor. None of us saw that coming.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
I guess I heard that coming, but
Tabor
this is
Cyteron.
what I'm also calling him Tabor, so
That was the audiobook. We just played it.
Whoa!
Kate's shocked.
This is why I usually get both the audiobook and the book. And then I never add anything useful to this podcast about it. One in a row.
You're so busy buying audiobooks and books that you don't have time to read the outline.
Listen, this is the first time I haven't read the outline in a long time.
That's true. That's true. You've gotten much better. But no, like, exactly. And it's, you look at Chalice, and you look at some of the other people who are like getting forced out because for whatever reason, they're not loyal enough, or they're not crazy enough, or not sycophantic enough. You've got Chalice, you've got her mentor Vidian, who wasn't forced out, but he
got
certainly
thrown into like a pit of acid or some shit. How
Yeah.
did that book end?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he made his own bed, but he made his own bed because he didn't feel like he had the support he needed, and he felt like he was like kind of constantly fighting for his station, where like he was, and that's true, and that was also by design because the Emperor's kind of an utter butter as well, but like you see these people not having the support they need when they are clearly the most competent and best able to do their jobs. And this is what it leads to. You look at Sloane, who was very competent even from an early age and early tenure in the Imperial fleet, and was basically banished to wild space to be the sheriff out there until she came back for the Battle of Endor and everything went to shit and everybody else died.
And my blue boyfriend.
And your blue boyfriend, exactly. We don't know what happens to him yet. Like,
I
we
have
don't
several
know.
blue boyfriends. We're talking about Thrawn.
Yeah, specifically your Grand Admiral blue boyfriend.
Bwah, bwah, bwah.
But yeah, like, we don't know what happens to him. We're gonna find out in Thrawn Treason if this kind of like line he's walking, if he isn't loyal enough, and if he, his competence is not enough to keep him on top, as it were. But you definitely see him fighting a lot harder than he should have to based on his skill set.
Did you say Thrawn's a top?
Sure did, Kristen.
Oh boy.
That's
Honestly,
what I heard.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The second it came out of my mouth, I was like, I really hope they weren't listening.
Oh, I wasn't, so I'm glad she was.
Okay, sorry. I'm just here to make terrible jokes all the time. Should we talk about the exceptions?
Wait,
Yes,
I
do you have
build
one
on-
more?
I
Yes.
just want to build on that point a little bit. So,
About Thrawn being a top.
yes, Thrawn is a top. It's canon. So, we obviously see a lot of very competent people cast aside by the Empire. And, I mean, we can relate it to the big picture about, like, how that's kind of a theme in fascist regimes, where it's a lot of the time more important to be completely loyal and completely obedient than to be good at what you're trying to do. But I think there are real consequences of like running that kind of ship. I don't know. And we see it in this book. Like, Chalice is very, very, very good at what she does. She, when she's on the Thunderstrike, she's just like building this logistics map of the Empire for the rebels. She knows everything about it. She is the mastermind behind the plan that Namir and Twilight Company
Title of the book, Miranda. Title of the book.
did not just look at the book to make sure I was saying it right.
In the audiobook, it really sounds like they're saying Twi'lek since I listened to it at like 1.25. So
Oh, yeah, I bet that
it's
would
been
be
very
confusing.
Anyway, I'm just like, wait, when did the Twi'leks get here? I'm like, oh shit, I've done it again.
But like, she's the mastermind behind this, and obviously we haven't gotten to the point in the book where we see if it's gonna work and we see if they can shut down Kuat. But there's one section when they're on Sullust doing that attack where Namir's just like, oh my god, I didn't think it was gonna work. I didn't think that the trains and the whatever were gonna be at the places she said they would be at the time she said they would be. But it's like, no, she is correct, because she is so good at her job that she understands everything about the logistics of how the Empire works, how these warehouse plans function, how, everything in the supply chain functions. Like, that's her job. And if she's cast aside by the Empire, she doesn't give a fuck about them. She'll go to wherever will keep her alive. Luckily for her, it's the Rebel Alliance. It's going to work out great for the rebellion. And so it's one of those things that, with the Empire casting her aside, it's very bad for them in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, quick sidebar, I just love the contrast between Chalice and Namir, because she is like obviously this like logistics genius, and Namir is like back here being like, but we destroyed this thing. How are there more of this thing? Like, when he's like,
Binge, it's the Empire.
yeah, when he's like, we destroyed those chemical weapons, she's like, oh, honey, that's not the only place. There's like, it's definitely like, I feel like
That's not how the Empire works.
like, I feel like Namir is like thinking along the lines of, if we steal this crate of food, the Empire will have no more food.
You're not wrong.
There are more granola bars?
Also, sidebar. Love our logistics queen.
Right?
Don't look at me like that.
I want to know why. I mean, I know why, because he didn't exist yet, but I want to know where Eli Vanto is in all this.
Oh my god, my
Sweet
sweet babies.
baby Eli.
It's all right.
I love them
Eli's
so much.
Eli's creating an entire logistics net for the Chiss Ascendancy right now.
Eli's being a bottom.
Yeah, well, I was about to say it, so thank you for doing it for me.
Oh, I was thinking it earlier, but didn't want to say because it wasn't relevant yet. But
and now it is.
we love our sweet baby Eli.
We do.
And
then-
now that we've made it sufficiently weird, should we talk about how Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin are the exceptions to the incompetencies and being crazy and loving Palpatine?
Can I just I don't know if Vader belongs in this group.
Ooh.
Tell me more.
Say more.
So this might just be because we have the prequels, and obviously I think that Vader has changed a lot since he was a young warthog. But I mean, he's very good at what he does. Like, we know that. Everybody's fucking terrified of him. He's a very effective I want to say Bork boy. I don't know why.
He's a very good Bork boy.
Because he often like acts as the Emperor's watchdog.
Ah, there we go. Bork boy. Got it.
Honestly, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I knew exactly what Miranda meant by Bork boy.
Thank you for following my several mental jumps to that point. He's a very good Bork boy. He's an enforcer. And he gets tasked with a lot of things that nobody else could do. I mean, because he's so powerful in the Force and he's Darth Vader and all of that. But I'm hesitant to say that he is not a sycophantic moron. Like, I don't think he's a moron. I don't think he's all that into the Empire or the Emperor's cult of personality. But also, he's Darth Vader for a reason. Like,
He underestimated the high ground.
Maybe we can argue, and I'm kind of conflicted on this, even still, that he's not super into the Emperor for like being the Emperor anymore, but
He's into him because he's his Force daddy.
exactly.
Oh, I would absolutely agree with that.
Like I said, he's Darth Vader for a reason. Like he definitely fell under the spell of Palpatine, and it set off this whole series of events called Star Wars. So I don't know how I feel about him being. I don't.
We're gonna have a really hard time, Sidebar Nation. We're gonna have a really hard time picking a title for this one already. I have so many dumb
I know.
shits written down that we've
said some
said.
good things.
Like, for example, in case it's not the title, I just wrote down Force Daddy, the spell of Palpatine.
Oh my god. But no, that's a really good point, Miranda. Like, Tarkin, I think we can all agree is competent and is like good at his shit, and with the glaring exception of championing the Death Star project, really was the brains behind creating the, Imperial might that we see in the original trilogy.
Which is really interesting, I think, because we do see in Clone Wars that he is somebody who was in the Navy under the Republic.
Yeah.
And so to me, it kind of seems like he was somebody who was like in the Navy, and then when the, powers that be transitioned, he just kind of went with it and obviously did very well for himself. And we know that he is like a cunning and just very competent in general. But I think that's kind of indicative of how he's not like some crazy ass zealot. He's there to do his job, and he's going to do a good job of it.
Yeah, totally. But then, yeah, with Vader, I agree. I think we need to call a distinction between being good at what you do and being competent. Because Vader's good at what he does, but Vader does things that are not the things that people originally asked of him. Like, Vader, comes back and he's like, I have burned down your house. And it's like, great, I wanted coffee.
I burned the coffee down as well, so I did part of what you asked.
There was coffee involved.
I
You
heard
should now
you
get
say
more coffee. Oh, Darth Vader.
I love coffee.
It's great. It's pretty fantastic.
Mom said she had a very special announcement.
Did she?
Do you want to tell her? Yeah.
Okay. It's time for your special announcement.
Oh. Hold up a minute.
We've just abruptly stopped talking about the book, so we're gonna.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. I have returned from Greece, so this is like partially unsupervised pod. This is like 75% unsupervised pod.
This is like
Hi, Mom.
This is like distracted babysitter pod. at best.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. You know what else is accurate? So I'm not quite caught up on the pod yet because I actually had to like pay attention to what I was doing at work today, a concept. But Chris put me on blast in the first episode for being like, well, Kate hogs the computer and she like gets the good chair, and so like I'm the one who's always getting shat on for being the squeaky chair. Listen, motherfucker, I literally sat there, watched you record. You're like spinning around this chair, literally making it squeak. This is the good chair. This is the quiet ass chair. And then you're like creaking the boom, like very audibly, just like fucking with that thing. And then like I don't know what you found on this table to play with that made such a large racket, but you found it, and there it was.
Oh, is that me? That might have been
PSA,
me.
Chris is a hoe.
No, she can't hear you, Miranda. She's only on one side of the podcast.
Oh shit, never mind.
That's true. She could not hear you at all, Miranda.
Oh, are we talking about like today?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Never mind. It was not me. I thought it was when I was making a racket last week.
I mean, last week you were making a racket and like playing with like the spring of one of your your boom. And it was making like a boinging noise.
Okay, just to be clear, hashtag unsupervised pod, all three of us have like problems.
Yeah.
Like sitting still and being present.
No one ever
so-
got me a fidget spinner. This is not my fault.
I know. I'm gonna throw one at you. It's gonna be cheaper to mail to you.
Oh, Kate
not
apparently
gonna-
tried
I'm
to
not-
find me one in Greece.
I'm not allowed to have a fidget spinner on the pod.
Yeah, because you fucking drop it on the desk and it makes noise, Miranda. Anyway, that was official mom of the pod being better than all of us. TM.
Was Kate's very special announcement literally just
dragging
to
you?
drag
Yes.
me? Okay, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you for listening to this partially unsupervised episode of the Book Wars Pod.
Fuck you, Chris.
Next week, we're going to be finishing the reading section of Battlefront Twilight Company by Alexander Freed, reading chapters 30 to the end, also known as Part 4. And then the following week after that, we are going to be doing our wrap-up, where Kate will be back, and I think potentially we may have Real Baby Bird guesting from the homely confines of Arlington, Virginia. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I will be guest hosting the
Okay.
podcast. I'm already
Guest
co-hosting.
hosting. Exactly.
She will be guest hosting from East Coast HQ
Yep.
instead of co-hosting from West Coast HQ.
Yep.
Also, that's a hard yes. Please let me do that. Otherwise, I cannot record. I will literally be in Arlington.
Yes, let's do it. Ooh, you know what else we should do while you're
Yay.
here? Play Vader Immortal.
Oh.
I
Oh my God, Chris, did you get a
I
toy?
pre-ordered it.
You got the
It
toy?
comes out next week.
I'm gonna be
Toy,
I'm gonna be afraid of it.
toy.
The only reason
Oh,
I can
here-
afford this is because from when that drunk person hit my car a while ago, there was an insurance, like, Geico fucked up and is like, you paid out your deductible, right? Here's that back. And I'm like, no, I never paid out my deductible because my car was totaled. But thanks
That
for the
sounds like
$500. That's fine.
insurance fraud.
No,
Yeah,
it's not.
Maybe
They
I'll
gave it to me.
delete.
I did not ask for it. They gave it to me.
Okay, that's fair. That's amazing. I can't wait for you to. Chris has been super excited. Chris doesn't really let himself get very excited on the pod, other than saying I'm really excited for this. But offline, he has been fucking hyped because Vader is his favorite character.
I
So
want it
I'm
to be
really
good.
excited for him.
Chris, do you like Darth Vader?
I am a fan. I am a fan of Darth Vader.
You've heard of him before then?
Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm familiar with first name Darth, as Obi-Wan seems to think, last name Vader.
It's like a title.
I know. That's honestly low-key one of my favorite parts of Star Wars, because it's just like clearly nobody had thought this through.
Skywalker as a last name.
Of the Tatooine Skywalkers? No, can't be him.
No, not the Sam.
Different Skywalker. Totally
I
different
don't know him.
Skywalker. All right. We were starting to wrap this up, and then this may be the first time we've gotten sidetracked wrapping up the pod.
That's a lie.
Anyway, we're continuing with Battlefront next week. In the meantime, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at BookWarsPod. Email us, bookwarspod@gmail.com. And rate, review, and subscribe to us and the Tashi Station Radio mega feed. I swear to God, next week we are going to be announcing what we're doing with all of our swag that we're giving away from Star Wars Celebration Chicago.
Don't rush Mom. She's perfect.
No, it'll be great. It will behoove you to rate, review, and subscribe to us and the Tashi Station Radio mega feed. It will behoove you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Don't be a hoe.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I'll also say that. Don't be a hoe. In the meantime, donate to the Tashi Station Radio Patreon if you are so inclined and you have the means. It really helps us cover our hosting and production costs. And as well, give us coffee at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joe Butera Design. Thank you so much for listening to episode 88 of the Book Wars Pod. For Kristen and Miranda, I'm Chris, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye, bye, bye.
Yeah.
Hold on, we're negotiating beer right now. Just a second.
Seems fair.